Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us this second BIMS week. It is Thursday, Youth Thursday. Today, all of our events are focused on engaging with the youth and on topics of the ocean. And what better way to do that than to have them facilitate a conversation with Black marine scientists. I am Dr. Camille Gaines. I am a part of the leadership team for the nonprofit Black and Marine Science, and I appreciate you all for being here with us. We have with us today students of Miss Anna K. Grant's class, as well as 3 Black marine scientists who are part of the BIMS membership. So with that, let's get started with today's events. I want to take some time to introduce the amazing scientists that we have with us today. The first, we have Dr. Cassandra Newkirk. Cassandra is originally from North Carolina and has a bachelor's in biology from Claflin University and a PhD in fisheries and aquatic sciences from the University of Florida. Dr. Newkirk completed her dissertation on the use of Cassiopeia as a new model system for studying the ecology of Cnidarian algal symbiotic relationship. Dr. Newkirk is currently a postdoc at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, where she continued her work on the Cnidarian symbiosis using cellular techniques to try and understand the key underlying components of the relationship. Next, we have Mr. Andrew Balker. Andrew is an environmental educator working at the National Aquarium located in Baltimore. As a senior education specialist, he leads educational lessons for students of all ages and coordinates the National Aquarium's Terrapines in the Classroom program. Whether hiking through the great outdoors or leading virtual shark investigations, he strives to share his love of learning with every participant. Outside of the classroom, you can find him jogging the Inner Harbor Loop or gathering friends around the table for a role-playing game. And next, we have Dr. Jijana Figueroa. Dr. Jijana Figueroa is a marine biologist, STEAM educator, and social justice warrior. She currently serves as the chair of innovation and design at the Chadwick School, where she leads innovation/STEM teams, teaches kindergarten science, and high school marine biology. She also serves as the creative director of the Empower Institute Social Justice STEAM programs. She is an ocean explorer, STEAM educator, science communicator, and advocate for social justice. Her curiosity and enthusiasm for the ocean and all things science are well documented in a variety of films and TV shows, including Aliens of the Deep, Discovery Channel's Mysteries of the Deep, Nickelodeon's Noggin Knows, and the History Channel's Ocean Explorers. Her research and experience as a deep sea marine biologist is featured on the national She Can STEM iHeartRadio campaign. She holds a bachelor's degree in marine biology from UCLA, and a PhD in marine science from UC Santa Barbara. She brings her experience, enthusiasm, knowledge, and love of science into her classroom through hands-on, engaging, and innovative experience. As an advocate for STEAM education, she is committed to adding to the arts and design to the science, technology, and math equation. She has over 2 decades of classroom teaching experience in grades K through 12 and has collaborated with a variety of education nonprofits, such as the 2-Bit Circus Foundation, Empower Her Institute, Black Girls Dive Foundation, Bridge Builders Foundation, the Boys and Girls Club of Los Angeles, National Association of Black Scuba Divers, National Marine Educators Association, NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration, and Makey Joy Labs. In collaboration with the 2-Bit Circus Foundation, she helped to install over 500 marker space innovation labs in schools throughout the greater Los Angeles area. She believes that learning happens wherever. Radical kindness is transformational, and that passion, curiosity, and creativity make the world a better place. She loves watching this play out in the lives of her students. So Thank you again all for being here, and thank you to our panelists for being here. You guys are all amazing. I hope you all saw that just in the short bios that we were able to read of them. What I'd like to do now is just open up the floor to get a little bit of information from Dr. Jijana, Andrew, and Dr. Newkirk about how they got interested in marine science, what their favorite things are, and then we're going to pass it over to Ms. Grant, who is going to take it over.
Got it. I am so excited and happy to be here. So I'm Dr. Dejonna Figueroa. I'm a marine scientist. I did deep sea exploration and biology for my research. And it all started for me as a little girl, actually. I am in California and I grew up in Los Angeles, but my family rarely went to the beach. We're really close to the ocean, but we just didn't go there very often. And when I was in 5th grade, I don't know what grade y'all are in, but when I was in 5th grade, I went on a trip with my neighbor to the beach, and I saw all sorts of stuff I had never seen in my life before. It's called a rocky intertidal zone. There was animals in there, stuff I thought was plants. There were dolphins swimming out in the ocean. I was just amazed as a little girl, like, oh my goodness, there's a lot happening in this ocean. And then I learned that the ocean was most of the surface of planet Earth. So my block that I spent most of my life on was just not it. And I needed to learn more. So that's what really got me excited about the ocean and becoming a marine biologist, was when I realized, whoa, the ocean's just not this blue kind of scary thing that's cold and I don't want to get into. This ocean has all sorts of life in it. It covers most of the planet. I just wanted to learn more. So in my journey as a little girl, we didn't have a lot of exposure to the ocean, but I kept it in the back of my mind. I wanted to get back there. I wanted to learn more about the ocean. I thought I was going to work at this place called SeaWorld when I grew up and train dolphins and swim with the dolphins. It was awesome. So in high school, I got to take a marine bio class and learn that marine biology was more than dolphins. And it was really cool. So I worked really hard in high school to get top marks so I could go to college and become a marine biologist. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I told my parents I was going to become a physician, a medical doctor, but that, I knew I wanted to be a marine biologist. So in college, I got to study marine biology and go all over the world to study things. I studied in Fiji, which is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I got to go to Hawaii, the Azores over in the Atlantic Ocean. I got to study in the Indian Ocean. The ocean is everywhere. So as part of my research, not only was I becoming a scientist, I realized that I was an explorer. Just like I was in 5th grade, going to the beach for the first time and exploring the tide pools, I got to make a career out of that and become an ocean explorer and explore all parts of the deep sea. So that's really how it started for me. I was just curious about the ocean, and then realized if you continue to be curious and ask questions about the ocean, like, that's what scientists do. And that allowed me to explore all sorts of places all over the world and better understand how the ocean is connected to each one of us.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm Andrew. Currently, I'm working here at the National Aquarium. I've had the privilege to work all over the country. I've worked in South Dakota. I've worked up in New Hampshire, and I've had the privilege to tell some really incredible stories. And that's what I love about the ocean. It is a huge swath of water that has so many similarities and differences. You can zoom in on a single species you can find nowhere else on planet Earth, or you can look at the huge, similarities that link each of these organisms together in a gigantic web that spans our world. There are so many stories to tell in the ocean, and they're stories that connect to all of us. Even if we've never thought about the ocean, if we can't see it within 100 miles of our house, there's something that the ocean is there doing for you, and there's so much more to discover, and there always will be, which is something that's so exciting about the ocean for me and what really made me fall in love. I love learning. I love sharing what I'm learning, and I'm never going to run out as long as I'm working with the ocean. So thank you so much for having me to share a little bit with you.
Hi, everyone. My story is actually really similar to Dr. Dejana's, which is hilarious, except switch out LA for inland North Carolina. I didn't really go to the ocean that much. I visited like lakes and rivers and stuff, but never like the ocean. I remember one time though, my dad decided to take us to the coast to go crabbing, and I was like hooked. I don't know why catching crabs in a little basket really did that for me, but it did. I, like most marine biologists, was really interested at first in, I think, the bigger organisms. So I really loved like dolphins and whales. And if you ever come to my apartment, you'll see just like a collection of dolphins, which is like kind of my thing. But yeah, I know I wanted to be a marine biologist since I was a young child. And I didn't actually have a name for it until a relative of mine was like, you know, you should check out like books on marine biology. That seems to be kind of what you're interested in. And I had no idea that that was a real career, except maybe like on TV. I didn't know people actually did that in real life. Then I decided to go to undergrad and major in biology, and I got some experience doing marine science there. And then obviously decided to continue on into aquatic sciences as a PhD. And also just the same, I've gotten to go places and explore and just visit different parts of the ocean, which is really awesome. And like Andrew and Dr. Dejonna, I really love learning and sharing and just continuing to understand this big part of our planet that is kind of misunderstood.
Thank you all so much. And without further ado, I know that Ms. Grant's class is extremely excited, and I want them to introduce themselves and get started to ask their questions.
Good morning, scientists. Good morning, scientists. And welcome to Hampton. Welcome to Hampton. Hi, everybody. We're so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for coming to our class. We have been reading books about sharks. We have been reading about starfish and jellyfish and eels, and coral reefs. Thank you, guys. And seahorses. And even dolphins. And seahorses and dolphins. And whales. Bring it back. Bring it back. Here we go. So we're gonna ask our questions now. We have a whole list of things to ask. Go ahead, Lulu, nice and loud. How do starfish grow their arms? How do starfish grow their arms? Get ready, let's listen to the answer. How do starfish grow their arms?
Okay, I guess I'll take that one. How do starfish grow their arms? Starfish were one of the first sea creatures that I saw when I was discovering the ocean. And they're so cool because they, they have stars. Can you guys show me your stars? Hands in the, like, let's make stars. Yep, they've got stars. They're really cool. They've got all these hands. But the coolest thing about the starfish is that if something happens to one of its arms, it can grow another one to replace it. In the center disc of the I want to call it a sea star, but I'm gonna call it a starfish today. In the center fish of the sea star, they have the ability to regenerate limbs. It's like a superpower. There's so many marine animals that literally have superpowers. So next time you tell somebody about a sea star, you can tell them that they have a superpower that allows them to grow back arms. Grow back. Can I see your arms again one more time? Let me see those sea star arms. Oh, awesome. Great question. Thank you.
How do jellyfish eat?
Oh, I can answer this one. I'm a jellyfish scientist. They actually have little stingers on their tentacles. So their stinging cells, it's almost like how bees can sting, and they'll sting their prey or the food they want to eat, and they'll just take it into their mouth, which is in the center of their body, and eat their food that way. So they sting their food first, and then they get to eat. Pretty cool.
Cool, I didn't know that. Well, go ahead, William, nice and loud. How do, why do orcas kill sharks? So we were learning about the orca, and we learned that they were called killer whales, and we wanted to know, do orcas kill sharks? That's what I said. Why are they called killer whales? I said that yesterday.
Yeah, I would love to answer that question. So why are orcas called killer whales? So orcas are actually the largest member of the dolphin family, and they are a large animal that has a large appetite. And there are a lot of things that are going to swim around the cold waters that they call home that they are going to target for prey. And they are not terribly picky. They like to eat seals primarily, but they'll also go after other smaller whales as well as sharks. They also are they're team players. They'll sometimes hunt and live in pods. And so there's not a lot that can really mess with them. They are big, they are strong, and they're not shy about letting everybody else know. So orcas have a little bit of a reputation, but they are beautiful, incredible animals that are super important to that ecosystem that they are part of. Thank you so much for that question.
Cool, David, go ahead, buddy. What do sharks get for their baby? Food. What food does a shark give to its baby?
If you don't mind, I'll hop in again because I think this is so cool about sharks. So what does a shark give to their baby? What kind of food do they give? The answer is not really any at all. As soon as sharks are either live birth or hatch from their eggs, they are pretty much independent little hunting machines. So as soon as they are ready to go, they are out there looking for small prey items for themselves to eat. One thing, though, that a lot of shark mommies will do for their babies is to make sure they're in a good environment when they lay those eggs or they birth their live young. These are called nursery environments. Here I am, I'm pretty near the Chesapeake Bay. So we have sharks called sandbar sharks who come into the Chesapeake Bay specifically so they can have their babies. It's a great, safe place for their young to grow up, face a little bit less competition. And once they're bigger and stronger, they're ready to go out into the ocean and survive and thrive. So they might not be serving up a plate like our parents do for us, but they are putting their babies in a position to survive. Thank you. So that's a wonderful question.
How many teeth does a shark have? We love sharks in here.
I love this, but I might have to ask some of my fellow marine biologists to help me out here. But sharks are absolutely dynamic, amazing creatures, so important in the ocean, but their teeth are actually a thing. I had the opportunity to look inside of the mouth of a shark, and it turns out that not only do they have like the outside teeth that you'd see, but they have rows and rows and rows and rows of teeth. And I've heard that they can go through hundreds of teeth in their lifetime. That the first row, like once it falls out, another row comes up and another row comes up. So I can't give you an exact number, but I can tell you that sharks have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of teeth in their lifetime. Do y'all want to pipe in with me there?
That was great. I was going to agree. I was going to say, I mean, they have rows, so depending on species off too, it's really hard to give an exact answer to that.
I know. They have way more teeth than we do.
Whatever that number is, it's very high.
That's a lot of teeth, boys and girls. Go ahead, Masai. Good question for me. Why do sharks eat people?
Sharks don't eat people though. Sharks don't eat people. We don't taste very good to sharks. Sometimes they might bite us on accident, but they don't eat us.
Yeah, they don't like to eat us. Dasha, go ahead. How many legs have the octopus? How many legs does an octopus have?
That's a wonderful question. So octopuses have 8 arms. So right there in the name, octo means 8. So octopuses have 8 arms, and they are really amazing things. They can use those arms to feel around, to pick up things. Some of them will even use rocks and things as tools with their arms. They're also using all those suckers on their arm to taste the world around them. I'm glad that I don't touch and feel with the same part of my body, but it's a great way for them to get around and get information from their surroundings using those strong, strong arms. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's a great question. I love octopuses.
Sammy, go ahead. Why do killer whales eat other whales? We know.
Was the question, do killer whales eat other whales? You know what? I have that same question because they're called killer whales, right? So you think they probably might have some sort of interaction with whales, other whales, that means they eat them. Killer whales can actually take out other whales, which is kind of like they're one of the top predators in the ocean. So because many of them travel in groups or pods and they can hunt together, they can get their energy, or they can eat from large whales in the ocean, which is kind of it's amazing. If you've actually seen how large some of these baleen whales are, you're like, wow, a killer whale can do that. I'm telling you, so many marine animals have superpowers. It's amazing.
Why do whales have like their teeth like lines? Why do whales have lion teeth? Okay. Why do whales have teeth that look like lines? Solid lines. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Is the question, why do whales have teeth look like lines? Yeah, so those are what we call our baleen whales. They have these long, thin, kind of looks like a giant mustache in their mouth a little bit, like long lines, and they use those to eat their favorite foods. They like to eat krill and other like little teeny tiny fish or crustaceans. And so if you have big teeth like a great white shark, it's not really good for eating little tiny things that are just barely floating around the water. So instead, they have these long teeth and they kind of use them like brooms. They take a giant gulp of seawater, many, many bathtubs all at the same time, and they're going to push that water out through those teeth. But just like a broom, it's going to catch up all the solid bits. All of those little krill and little crustaceans, those little tiny fish, they're going to get caught up in those long baleen strands, and then they can get gobbled down by the whale. There's a lot of different things to eat out in the ocean, and so you're going to have a whole lot of different teeth, or things that look kind of like teeth or don't look like teeth at all, depending on what exactly you're looking to put into your belly. Thanks for that great question.
A very nice question. Go ahead, Miss Julia.
Is it true that male seahorses have babies?
Is it true that male seahorses carry babies?
Yes, it is true. So seahorses and a few other members of similar species, the female will lay the eggs and then the male will carry them around in a pouch. And while he's doing that, he's swimming around, he's finding his food, and he has those eggs just hanging out in his pouch, almost like a little kangaroo. And as soon as they're ready to hatch, they'll come right on out of that pouch, and it kind of seems like the male is giving birth. And it's a little bit like that. I mean, the male is carrying those eggs and just making sure they stay safe until they're ready to hatch. Thank you for that awesome question.
Awesome. So I actually have a question, and this is one of the questions from our list. We wanted to know, how big is the ocean?
I absolutely love that question because when I saw the ocean, I literally asked myself the same thing, like, how big is the ocean? And it's kind of hard to answer that question. You kind of have to maybe, zoom out and go into space and look at planet Earth from above and try and see, well, how much of Earth is the ocean? And we actually have people that are in space that can look down at Earth from above, the astronauts, and we have equipment called satellites that are in space right now that are looking down on Earth, and they can tell us how much of planet Earth is covered in ocean. And if you look from above, they say about 70% of planet Earth is covered in ocean. But that's just the top, right? That's just the very, very top or the outside part of planet Earth. When scientists figured, they got tools to actually figure out how deep the ocean is, they then determined that maybe up to 90% of the volume that we have at Earth might be the ocean. And that's kind of crazy to think about. 90% of the volume of livable space that we have on Earth might be the ocean. So the ocean's a big deal if you're an earthling like I am.
The ocean is huge. Go ahead, Sammy, what's your question? Why does octopus feel their babies? Why do they feel their babies? So we wanted to learn a little bit more about octopus babies. Yeah, just in general. What do they eat? Do they stay with their moms?
I can hop in. So a lot of octopuses, they live their lives, in a lot of ways very different from the way we live ours. But I think, do one of what I think is one of the most touching things a parrot can do. So when some octopuses, when they go to lay their eggs, they find a nice kind of rocky area that's going to make sure those eggs are safe. After they lay those eggs, the mama octopus is actually going to sit there and protect that cave until she actually passes away and dies. Her last act is to make sure that her babies are safe. And as soon as those eggs hatch, they will come out into a world that is safe for them because it's been secured by their mom. And just like our little baby sharks, those little baby octopuses, they are ready to go all on their own. They don't need a lot of learning and a lot of help from mom and dad. They're ready to get out there and start hunting and exploring all on their own. And so they'll eat a lot of the same things that other octopuses will, just on a smaller scale. Instead of going after a crab, they go after a little tiny shrimp. And then they'll work their way up as they get bigger and stronger. So that's just a little bit I know about some of our octopus babies and mommies.
We also wanted to know, when do ocean creatures sleep? Or do they sleep? Yeah, because we sleep, right? But when do they sleep?
They were just talking about all ocean creatures, just in general? Oh, okay. That's debatable. Some people think that there's some species that I guess what we think of as sleep. Just speaking from a perspective as a jellyfish scientist, there's some people that I work with that have written articles about a deep kind of slumber state that some jellyfish go into, where they'll just kind of, they're floating, their pulsing kind of slows down at certain times of the day. So we all have what's known as circadian rhythms, where we, as humans, we are awake during the day, and then of course at night we're asleep. Have been thought to have rhythms such as that. I can't speak for other species. I think that some of the larger mammals might have circadian sleep cycles such as that as well.
We were also reading and we heard the word invertebrate. And we wanted to know, what is an invertebrate?
I can start that one. Everybody can pipe in. Yeah, that's a big word. Invertebrate. What is an invertebrate? Well, I'm trying to figure out how I could explain this, but if you kind of tap on your back, everybody, if you kind of tap on your back a little bit, you probably feel there's something hard inside of you right there, something really hard that's helping put, keeping your body in order and stuff. So that you're tapping on your back, that's kind of like, that's called your vertebrate. So that's that hard part in your body that helps give you structure. Animals that don't have that hard part inside of their body that gives them structure, we call them invertebrates. So those are animals that are kind of squishy and soft. So when we look at, scientists love to look at all animals and then start putting them into different categories based on what they look like and their characteristics. So if we look at all animals, we can divide animals into the animals that have a hard backbone like we do. And then we can also put them into animals that are like squishy and soft. And so the animals that we observe that are squishy and soft and don't have a hard backbone, we call them invertebrates. Does that make sense to y'all? We've got squishy animals, and then we have animals that have hard structures that help support them. That's my best go at it.
Go ahead, Bubba, ask your question.
Is it true that seahorses, when they change into different colors, they hide from predators?
Is it true that seahorses change colors to hide from predators? Like sharks.
Yeah, so if for our ocean animals, being able to camouflage, to be able to hide from their predators is super important. And there are a lot of animals that have what we call really awesome active camouflage. One that I, always grew up being fascinated with was chameleons, who live on land, who can kind of change their color and shade depending on how they're feeling, how warm it is outside, and also if there's anyone around they might want to hide from. And under the sea, we have some incredible camouflagers, masters of disguise. A lot of our animals like octopuses and cuttlefish, they can change their skin pattern, they can change their skin texture, they can change their skin color in less than a second in really beautiful and incredible ways. I'm a little bit less familiar with seahorses, but I know that they are great camouflagers. One of the great things we have here at the National Aquarium, we have line seahorses, and they'll grab on to a little bit of seagrass and they'll just kind of float in the current. And it's something that if you look away for a second, you look back, you might just think they're a piece of grass. So they do a really great job, just like you're all doing right now, of going with the flow and blending in. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful question.
Amina, go ahead.
Why do sharks like to bring fishes
So we wanted to know, have you ever seen a shark? Have you ever seen a shark eat fish? Were you scared when you saw a shark? Did you swim away really fast?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of sharks. I've seen a lot of sharks eat fish. I don't know if I was necessarily scared. I think it was pretty cool. I was excited. I don't know, as a marine biologist, I like sharks and I like seeing them. In these situations, I was kind of in a place where I really couldn't be hurt by the shark. So wasn't really anything to be really scared of, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen sharks too before while scuba diving and snorkeling, and also like from looking on top of the ship. So they're really magical beings. They're really cool to look at. So I wasn't afraid, but most of the sharks that I've seen when I'm in the water have been smaller than me. Because believe it or not, most shark species are, less than 3 feet. They're not that big, but they're really cool. So we've seen leopard sharks and horned sharks and swell sharks. But there was this one time where I had the opportunity to see a great white shark in all of its majesty. And let me tell you, my heart did like normally my heartbeat is nice and slow. Let me show you, like boom, 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 boom. But when I saw this 30-foot plus great white shark, I was excited. Now, it wasn't scared, it was excitement. Like, oh my goodness, they really do exist and they're amazing. So most of the time when I encounter a shark, I'm excited. And I think it's an honor and a privilege to be able to see one of these creatures in their natural environment.
Is it true that a swordfish shark can swing its tail around a hammerhead shark?
I'm not sure. But just like Dr. Jijana was telling us, some of these sharks have incredible superpowers. So I can't tell you exactly what would happen in that circumstance, but there are some amazing sharks out there. I mean, the hammerhead shark you mentioned, it has this really long head. And I always wondered, why does it have a head shaped like that? And it turns out it has a superpower. It has a sixth sense called an ampullae of Lorenzini. So that long part of his head, it's helping it see underneath the sand. It's helping it sense electricity. If everyone wants to make a muscle, go ahead and make a muscle for it. You're making a little bit of electricity in your body. If we're just to think about how amazing sharks are, you have a little bit more electricity moving through your body. And even if you're sitting perfectly still, if your heart is pumping, there's a little bit of electricity moving through your body, something that some amazing superhero sharks like the hammerhead are able to sense. So I might not be able to answer your question, but hopefully you learned a little something about sharks you didn't know before.
We also wanted to know, how do you become a scuba diver? Because that's something we were interested in.
I can start with that one because I absolutely love scuba diving. When you become a scuba diver, it opens up the ocean for you. So you're able to physically dive in. I'm going to share my story because I didn't know how to swim when I wanted to become a scuba diver. And I think I should just share that out loud and be like, I wanted to scuba dive and I didn't quite know how to swim yet. But it turns out that I was able to take a class. So a scuba diver is just like you learn how to write or do math. You take different subjects, you learn science and you learn things at school, you can take a class that will teach you how to scuba dive. And you learn about all of the different equipment that scuba divers use, the regulator, which allows them to breathe air, and their tanks where they can carry the air with them. We also have special clothes or vests that we can wear that allow us to go down and come back up, wetsuits, all this cool stuff you learn about. You can take a class and they'll teach you everything you need to know to become a scuba diver. And in my case, not only did they teach me everything I needed to know in order to become a scuba diver, I went to like scuba diver school. They also helped me become really comfortable in the water, and I learned how to swim. So it kind of all worked out. Just like you go to school to learn math and science and English and reading, you can take a class and learn how to scuba dive.
Are we going to be scuba divers when we grow up? What part is going to be our last question?
So what does a scuba diver say when they swim underwater?
What does a scuba diver say when they're swimming underwater? Or can they talk under the water?
You can't really talk when you're under the water. You have an equipment that's helping you breathe, so you have to keep that in your mouth. But you can. There's little things that you can use to like write under the water that people take in there, like boards they can use. A lot of times, depending on who you're diving with, you'll have hand signals that everyone in the group is familiar with to use to kind of display what you're talking to. There's a lot of pointing, obviously. Sometimes it's like pointing at things and what you want to see. Not really talking, but you do find ways to communicate under the water, just not speaking.
All righty, thank you all so much. This was great. Hampton University, I am so excited for you all. You guys asked amazing questions. Of course, also as a Hampton alum, I love the name of your class. I just want to encourage you all to continue to be curious, right? Because that is something that has really helped all of us. And I think my fellow scientists talked a lot about that. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, of course. We appreciate you for being a part of Black and Marine Science Week 2, and we hope that you continue to support us as well as engage us in any questions you have related to the ocean. Thank you all.